Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of the Wright Experience. I'm Dr. William T. Wright Jr., the founder and host of this show. It is absolutely exciting to me to know that our audience is increasing and growing by leaps and bounds, and that's thanks to you and getting the word out. And so I'm eternally grateful to you for embracing this vision that we started a little bit over a year ago. Tonight is episode number 57 of the Wright Experience. Tonight, I have the honor of interviewing and talking to one of my very best friends, personal friends in the whole wide world. He is also a workforce development leader, has been so for many years, and really excited to talk to him about the wonderful things that are going on in his professional life. My guest tonight is Mr. Michael R. Williams. Michael R. Williams is a native of Halifax County and graduated from Northwest Halifax High School. He attended the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, receiving undergraduate studies degree in business administration. He is also a graduate of the Rocky Mount Chamber Leadership Academy and the State of North Carolina Commerce Leadership Academy and Governor Cooper's Sound Basic Education Council, and he currently serves on the committee about the portrait of the graduate creation that's going on right now in the state of North Carolina to benefit public schools. Mr. Williams began his career in 1991 as a job training counselor for Roanoke Area Development Association, better known as CADA in Northeastern North Carolina, in Rich Square, North Carolina, and was promoted in 1993 to the finance department to utilize his business management skills as an assistant finance director. Then in 1998, Mr. Williams was hired by Upper Coastal Plain Council of Government as the Workforce Development Monitor in the Workforce Development Department. He was responsible for programmatic and fiscal monitoring of the contract agencies, and career centers in the region. In 2010, Mr. Williams matriculated to director of the Turning Point Workforce Development Board, providing oversight of the regional workforce development system, serving regionally Edgecombe, Halifax, Nash, Northampton, and Wilson counties in North Carolina. Michael and his wife, Renee, have two children, Jalea and Michael Javen. They reside in the Brattleboro community of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And at this time, I'd like to welcome my friend and brother, Michael Williams. What's going on, brother?
Hello, Dr. Wright. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man, it is absolutely a pleasure to have you here, and I'm doing well.
Pleasure's all mine, bro.
Certainly glad to have you on the show tonight. And I noticed in the bio we didn't get into the music ministry part and all of that wonderful stuff that you do too. Folks that know you personally know that you have many talents. But we'll talk about work tonight, and then we might slip a little bit in there about that at the end. How about that?
Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
Good. So start off talking to us a little bit about the work that you've done in workforce development in your current role and over the past 25 plus years with regards to workforce development and what specifically your role does.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm the director of Turning Point Workforce Development, and actually serve those counties that you stated. Is a privilege and an honor to be back home. I had the opportunity to go to school, but not many have the chance to come back home and have a nice career. So we've been pleased with that. But within the workforce development, we actually provide oversight and pretty much help with policy making and workforce development systems. So we work with K through 12, community college, our four-year colleges, but we always try to align it back to employment and with our local businesses. So really, it's just trying to come up with this streamlined process that we can take job seekers straight into employment and meet the employer's needs.
And so what about in today's challenge, in today's time, there's kind of a reluctance to return back to work that might be affecting somewhat. What are some of the challenges that you all are having right now with this work that you do?
Right. Definitely the pandemic COVID did bring some apprehensions for a lot of people, those that were working especially closely to other individuals, wanted to make sure they remain safe for their families and themselves. But I will say, when you look at statistics and you look at labor market information, we're actually back to where we were prior to the pandemic.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
the unemployment, you look at those that are going back to work, um, they're just maybe moving into different types of sectors, different forms of employment. We did lose a lot of service, I guess you can say, service type jobs with restaurants and hotel restaurant businesses. A lot of people actually transitioned in into something new. They maybe took advantage of going back to school, getting a few more certifications or educational opportunities to get a higher paying occupation. But again, we are still dealing in a new time. There are a lot of people now who really want to work remotely, who want to work from home. So a lot of people are actually taking those jobs. So a lot of our businesses are losing their employees.
Right.
People are still working, but they're losing their employees in those manufacturing or healthcare type sectors that need people to be on site. But again, we're just living in such a different time. When you and I grew up, we came out of the system where, tried to get out of the cucumbers and the tobacco fields. We
Right.
were happy to get somewhere where there was some air conditioning. But now it's a different day. Some of the younger population, they want to make sure, yeah, I want to be in air conditioning, but I want to make sure I'm making what I want to make. It's a little bit more demand and flexibility required by some of the job seekers these days.
And hence why we're having trouble in education, recruiting and retaining folks, because $35,000 is a salary you can get many places nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're having some trouble there.
Yeah.
What do you see moving forward in terms of businesses that don't have remote options? Do you see a rebound down the road, you think, for those businesses, or those businesses going to have to kind of retool the way that they do business, in your opinion?
Well, I believe the pandemic forced that.
Sure. Right.
They actually brought on a lot of flexibility. Now that even in our larger manufacturing and even our healthcare, I mean, companies now trying to work to provide you more flexibility, more opportunities to even work remotely if, possible, 2, maybe 3 days a week, but yet we need you back on site certain amount of time. But again, I think the pandemic just changed our mindset.
Mhm.
How can we make sure that we're productive citizens, but yet provide some quality of life to our job seekers who are, maybe it may need to be at home with their kids more, may need to provide assistance who are older adults that they may be caring for. So, just providing that opportunity that people can still be valuable to your company, but maybe have a little bit more flexibility in doing things at home. And I'll also kind of add to what you mentioned. I'm not sure if we went off, but actually, even with the educational system, I was happy to be a part of Governor Cooper's um, Access for Sound Basic Education Committee. 19 people were actually appointed to that. And three other things that we were trying to do with that particular committee was to assist. Did I lose you?
All right, I think we're back now. I apologize for that technical difficulty there. Wow, never
That's
had
all
that happen before.
right.
Anyway, yeah.
Mhm.
So we were in the middle of talking about, kind of how we make those adjustments, how we make how businesses make those adjustments. Um, so let's go here. Let's say there is a person who is a new business owner. Like, I'm just really getting started out and trying to flesh out how to deal with getting employees in this new workforce. What advice would you have for them?
Well, I'm definitely going to plug in our NC Works Career Centers. They're one of our access points for, job seekers and for businesses. This is an opportunity for a business to come in, work with our career advisors, our business service team. They will even assist you if you're just starting your business, to even help you with a business plan, help you even matriculate
Oh,
through that,
wow.
but
Mhm.
also to make sure that we can match the qualified skilled people that you need to be a productive business as well. So we have a lot of virtual software that we're providing. People who are coming into our system, we can do assessments. We provide career advising. So really what we're trying to do is help those that may need hand holding through a process to make sure that they're going to reach their goals of attaining self-sufficiency in employment. But for the business, we want to make sure that we're providing you that quality skill employee. We don't want to make any referrals to you for people who are going to take you backwards, but going to take you forward. Because
Sure.
when you're starting a business, you got to have trained employees, or don't your profits are going to go out the window. So,
So where is this center that you're talking about? Where is that located?
well, we have three within our region.
Okay.
In the in Edgecombe Nash, we have one here in Rocky Mount. In Wilson County, there's one, and also in Roanoke Rapids that covers Halifax and Northampton County.
Okay.
But we're also sister agencies to Rivers East, which is in the Hereford, Bertie, Greenville area. So they also provide that same services, and we work across county lines. We work across region, making sure that we can provide assistance. I'll give you a prime example with QVC, with the fire that happened with QVC.
Sure.
A lot of those employees came from about 17 different counties. So
Oh,
we're
wow.
we're working with workforce development boards that cover all of those counties that may have been affected, just to make sure that we can be consistent in our services and providing some seamless services to those and helping them to try to get back into employment quickly.
Mhm. Mhm. And how's that going? Is there being very successful with that so far?
It is going, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's a little slower than we expected because we really thought we were going to get our doors kind of knocked down with people that were affected coming back in. But I guess with some of the severance packages and some of the things that they received, a lot of people are just probably still in shock, still in that trauma of trying to get over a career that they had and lost it overnight. So, that's where the career counseling and advising comes in, that we can work with them over a period of time, that we can provide training for them so they can go back to community college or a 4-year school, and we can assist with their tuition, books, and fees. So really you're getting that free education or that free resource to you in a very minimal way that you have to actually come out of your pocket, because you are a dislocated worker, so you're definitely eligible for our services.
Right. Right. Absolutely. That's great to know, and we certainly want our audience to take advantage of that, particularly if you're in the areas that Mr. Williams is describing. So, have you seen? We've seen a trend in K-12 education. I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this question, Mike, so bear with me. Uh, but we've seen a trend in education where businesses are now coming after educators, and we know why that is. I mean, we know why that is. They're the greed people. They generally have a pretty good work history if they've taught with us a few years. And our entry level salary is $35,000 a year. I keep telling people that we got to invest in educators if we want to
That's
keep.
right.
But anyway, have you seen that trend? And if so, do you expect that to continue, where people are
Yeah.
going after educators to work with them?
That's a very good question. Actually, I'm proud to be a part of the committee that Governor Cooper had appointed for the Leandros cases, which is sound basic education,
Right.
and that was actually 19 appointees across the state that included educators, included businesses, government, law, health. I mean, a lot of smart people, a lot of smart people with
And
the
congratulations for being selected to that committee. That's a great honor. For sure.
Yes, sir. But one of the things that, three highlights that we really wanted to focus on was staffing each
Mhm.
classroom with competent and well-trained teachers,
Right.
staffing each school with competent and well-trained principals, identifying the resources necessary to ensure that all children, including those at risk, have a equal opportunity to obtain a sound basic education. And
Right.
and hopefully, things will move forward. And so a lot of funding can come down to maybe help increase the wages and move that, a little further. But to go back to the question that you were talking about, one of the things that we definitely have been working with is with businesses, trying to make sure our educational system and our businesses talk the same language, have that opportunity for an educator to go in and get some work experience, some apprenticeship, learning what those businesses provide. So when they do go back to the classroom, they're enjoying what they're providing because they're providing real life experience that they have went through. But also, sometimes a lot of businesses, like when they come in, they love what they see with those educators who can provide, clear direction, can actually help mentor, can train. So a lot of times some of those educators do get stolen from the educational system.
Sure.
But the thing about it, I think, is I think the businesses understand how important education is. And that is the piece that we have to continue to align and drill down, making sure we're getting the support from our employers and business sectors back to education. We have to support you guys in the school system. We got to make sure that policymakers understand if we don't have the educators, we won't have a future. So, again, I probably didn't answer all of your question, but yeah, there have been quite a few that kind of transition over into the private sector, I guess I can say.
Well, when years ago, when I came out of manufacturing and went into education, I couldn't understand why people tried to keep the two entities apart. If you're going to be an educator, you can't be a business person, and vice versa. And there's so many things that we can learn and glean from each other, and that's why I think this work with the Portrait of the Graduate that North Carolina has finally caught on to. That happened in South Carolina about 10 years ago, actually. It's so critical because it's a partnership between educators and business, as you're saying, to try to get the best of both worlds. Each entity can certainly learn from the other about how to make the world a better place for staff and students, and that's really what this work is supposed to be about. Yeah. And so I've always encouraged business folks to talk to educators and educators to talk to business folks, because that's the only way that we're really going to make this place, this United States of America that we all say we love, a better place. So
I totally
agree with that.
Totally agree. Yeah. Actually, our board, the Workforce Development Board, is comprised of 51% private sector.
Right.
This is our opportunity to make sure that we have education, we have nonprofits, we have governmental organizations and entities sitting at the table, because we are non-threatening. We don't provide any of the service. We don't provide the education, and we can't provide you the employment. All we can do is help match the two.
Match the two, right?
Mm-hmm. And we don't get any profit. we're government funded, and right. Our performance is actually based on a person obtaining some type of credential, obtaining employment, but not just obtaining, remaining or and retention on that job for at least 12 months, and there's some earnings change. So our job is to make sure we're making that perfect match, because if not, we're going to fail in our performance as well.
So how many organizations do you all serve or provide services for?
We have approximately 8 different providers within our region. Okay. But again, we're one of 22 local workforce development boards across the state. Okay. That serves all of these counties in North Carolina. So we're in every corner that we can be. We're kind of like that thing, that stuff you buy from Lowe's, Gunk, or the spray that fills in gaps. That's
okay.
Kind of yeah.
All right. A little bit of foam action there. Okay, I got you. I got you. Okay. All right. So if someone were, your background is in business administration, and like mine was as undergrad, and you took the route of really public administration in your career, what advice would you give to someone who aspires to get into the kind of work that you do?
You have to have a love for, number one, the people. and your location. It's just like you as a educator and professional. Um,
Right.
I'm a product of the system. I had
Mm.
opportunity when I was in high school to work in the Job Training Partnership Act. So,
Okay.
back in the day, there was summer programs. So you had that opportunity to get some work experience. So what I would say to anyone, number one, follow your love, whether that be entrepreneurship, if it be working in the government, education, or manufacturing, whatever. Do something that you love to do, and you feel like you're making a difference. Every year we have our annual banquet, and we have success stories. That's all that I'm gonna be honest with you. I long for every year just to see the success stories of people coming forward and say, "I thought I would never have an opportunity to work and be self-sufficient, or to have earned a degree, or to have actually gained my nursing degree, or became a truck driver and doing really well, or became an entrepreneur." Those stories, to me, that's what it's all about, just to see the benefit to others, and how they actually accept those challenges.
In your opinion, that's great stuff. In your opinion, we constantly talk about in education our career and technical education programs. I know you're familiar with what that is,
Yeah. Mhm.
and the work that's done in those programs. Um, and honestly, right now, particularly, we're having to reinvent those programs. We went for a while. You probably remember where we
Yeah.
got rid of the carpentry and the masonry and all of that, and we attacked this digital age, and now we're figuring out that what, we probably need to go back to some of that what I would call hardcore vocational stuff too, because we need electricians and we need
Yeah.
carpenters and all of that. Um, Talk to us a little bit about what you see as the needs for us moving forward. Am I on point with us needing to kind of retool that, or some other things we need to be looking at? What are you seeing out there?
You're definitely on point. That's one thing I think, we can make sure that our younger generation understand, you know, for your college might not be for everyone,
That's right.
but you can earn a very, very good living, using your hands, using those skills that you enjoy doing. Truck driving right now, I'm going to be honest with you. That is one of our top, I guess you can say, occupational skills training that we're providing. And it's not just for males. I mean, we're seeing more females, non-traditional, I guess you can say, job seekers go through. And what we're hearing from our businesses are that they are the perfect candidates because
Mm,
of their ability of detail, their ability to drive and do what they're doing. But yes, when you're dealing with these CTE and I guess you can say these type of trainings, mechanic, carpentry, they're actually, the world is yours if you're interested in going through that type of sector. And like you say, there's good pay, very, very good pay in it.
yeah. Yeah, and gone are the days where all of it has to be done through 4-year degrees. Now, you and I both have those, and we've done all right. Come a long way from the days of Walter's Chapel. I'll just say it
Oh,
that way. But nowadays, particularly, it's more about certification. It's more about um, getting a trade and learning a skill and developing that skill.
yeah,
And that doesn't mean that education should go away. I got into a conversation with somebody last week. Education doesn't go away, but
yeah,
we need to rethink about this one size fit all thing that we kind of got into there for a while, and
right,
we need to make sure that we're diversifying our portfolio for our young folks,
right,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I agree. Education is lifelong learning.
That's
I
right.
feel always got to be doing that. But the thing about these opportunities, it also affects the heart serve. We have a lot of individuals who are coming back into our community that has been maybe in the justice system, but they're great, they're good people, and they want to be productive citizens. So if you can get them a skill that they can get back and become again self-sufficient and maintain their lives, look at the economy of what you have done, to build us forward. And so, the carpentry, the HVAC, the electricity, the truck driving, these are opportunities that they may not have had to go into some of the businesses because of a lot of different legal aspects, I guess you can say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And moving forward, we need to keep these this mindset of being able to and looking into reinventing this wheel, because they tell us that many of the jobs that our folks will be occupying 10, 15 years from now haven't even been invented yet, which still kind of blows my mind. I mean, how do you know that? But we keep hearing that, and so as you said, that's going to create that lifelong learning. You and I might learn that we need to go back and retool down the road. I've got just a few more years, and I'm going to try to retire, Mike. But anyway,
I'm with you on that. But I think the pandemic proved that, because with you, before the pandemic, we never thought about providing virtual services.
That's right.
In our system, But we had to be creative. We had to make sure that we were still maintaining. And I'm not going to say that everybody can actually appreciate virtual, because sometimes you do need to have that face-to-face connection. But again, I would have never thought in my lifetime I would have been out of school for a whole year. But I'm just saying.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And really, for us, I think we all kind of knew and thought that virtual learning would be a thing at some point. I just didn't think it was going to happen in March of 2020 to the level that it did and to the extent. And that's certainly been a game changer. But that's one of those things that once we let it out of the bottle, we don't want to put it back in. Virtual learning and virtual work, which is what we're talking about tonight. Certainly has to be a thing of the future, I think. I don't think we need to put that one back in the bottle completely, for sure.
I agree. Well, I definitely want to applaud you guys from the educational system, because you guys, I mean, overnight, you took the challenge and you actually provided what we needed to continue forward. So to all educators, we are truly thankful.
Well, thank you. And as we get to the end of this podcast, first of all, it's been absolutely amazing, and thank you for all the work that you do to make sure that we continue to get, and that work that you're doing with Portrait of the Graduate is something well needed, and I'm glad to know that you're on that board, because you're going to give us perspective that we needed. When that was done several years ago, the key to it was that we had business folks that really understood the ins and outs, so that we could better prepare students to be ready for that post high school work. So I think I'm graduating 200 and some, close to 300 and some between our three high schools, and our goal is we want all of them to have a next, whatever that is, and so we got to know what people want so that we can better prepare our children for that. Thanks to you all, we'll have a better shot at doing that, for sure.
Appreciate it.
So, Mr. Williams, is there anything that I did not cover tonight that you'd like for me to talk about before we end the podcast?
I think you covered a lot in this little bit of time, but I mean, it went faster than I expected to. I'll be honest, I was like, I'm not going to talk that long.
Well, thank you very much for that. And if you'll hold on with me just for a minute, we'll come back and close the show.
Okay.
The month of June, we have several guests on tap. We are going to interview in the month of June Dr. Penelope Martin Knox, who is currently the superintendent of Sumter County Schools, where I'll be headed in a few weeks. And then she is going to have a new role. When I get to Sumter, she will be traveling to Raytown, District C2, that is near Kansas City, Missouri. And so we'll be interviewing her in the month of June. And also right now, we also have Dr. Mary Young that'll be forthcoming towards the end of June. Dr. Mary Young is a former superintendent who is also a cancer survivor. And Dr. Young just recently completed her first book. She's authored a book that talks a little bit about faith and how to be a good leader and keep your faith intact and all of that. Something that we all need as we go about this journey of leadership. So June and beyond, of course, promises to continue to be exciting. I'm excited about the direction and the work that is going on with regards to this podcast. I hope that you're enjoying the content because this content is all about trying to make us all better and help us learn a little something to impart in the lives of those that we serve. And so thank you for being a part of that. Mr. Williams, certainly my brother, I am so glad that we finally got this opportunity to have you on the show. And thank you for the work that you do on behalf of folks all across Eastern North Carolina and the state of North Carolina, for that matter, on a daily basis.
Thank you, Dr. Wright, for having me.
And thank you to the Wright Experience audience. Thank you, and have a good evening.